Welcome back to part 3 of our Alabama Ole Miss preview. I'm here with Herbie May, as always, and we've been breaking down the different keys, strengths, and weaknesses of this game, who these two teams are. Now let's move on to key players for this top 10 matchup. Alabama at number 3, Ole Miss ranked at number 10. So, Herbie, let's start with you. Who are two players for Ole Miss on the offensive and defensive side of the ball who are really going to be key this weekend if Ole Miss is going to win?
I think this is I don't think I can stop saying his name. Laquan Treadwell is the guy on offense. I mean, he is the guy that needs the ball this weekend. He is our playmaker. He's going to make the big plays. He's going to make the game-winning catch in the end zone if we're in contention. I'm telling you right now, Bo Wallace needs to be smart with the ball, but when he has an opportunity to get to Laquan, get it there. Let him do what we brought him in here to do. He's the number 1 wide receiver in the country when we recruited him, and he's playing like it, and he is going to be the key on offense. The Alabama secondary is lacking, and he can exploit it. He has the ability to do it. So I think on offensively, absolutely no-brainers, Laquan Treadwell. Defensively, got to be Cody Pruitt. He stirred the pot last night by making that comment saying he's not afraid of Bama. I think he's that type of player. I don't think he is scared personally. And I think he's going to be the key to keeping Amari Cooper in check. I mean, you've got to come out. And Amari Cooper is an unbelievable wide receiver, arguably the best in the game. There's no doubt about that. But I think the only way that you can get to guys like these is if you come out, you show a dominant presence early, you smack them in the mouth and be like, all right, you want to come play in Oxford, I'm going to hit you every time you touch the ball. And I think you got to play Cody Pruitt 10 yards farther back. You've got to leave him back there as a safety valve. And there's no doubt that Amari Cooper's going to make big plays in this game. But Cody Pruitt's got to be there to show, to announce his presence and come up and smack Amari Cooper in the mouth.
For me, on the Alabama side of the ball, obviously Cooper is the obvious choice on offense, but I think someone who's really going to be just as important is T.J. Yeldon. He is 900-some yards away from becoming Alabama's all-time leading rusher. He's coming off 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and after a great first game against West Virginia, he didn't really get that many carries in those 2 kind of warm-up games, and last week he had a tough time getting going against Florida, who has a very similar defensive front and talent on their defensive front to Ole Miss. So for me, T.J. Yeldon has to not only set the tone, but also be a comeback, or have to be able to come back in and be a change of pace to Derrick Henry when Derrick Henry comes in to really pound the ball up the middle and act as the big bruising back as Yeldon was to Eddie Lacy back in 2012. But also on defense, I think a key is going to be Eddie Jackson and similarly Cyrus Jones. Alabama's probably not going to switch the sides of their corners on the side of the field, and one or the other isn't going to follow Laquan Treadwell. But those 2 corners have to play big time so that Landon Collins, Nick Perry, and Geno Smith back on the back end as our safeties, who obviously Landon Collins is another key of the defense. But those corners have to cover up those explosive wide receivers that you have there in Oxford, so that the safeties don't have to do as much work and they can be free to roam the backfield and make plays and hopefully force Bo Wallace into making some of those poor decisions that he's made in the past if Alabama is going to be successful.
And then weaknesses. So I don't really like the I guess calling this a weakness, but I think this is more of an opportunity category. I think Ole Miss is stronger in certain areas than others instead of weaknesses. But if I'm going to put this opportunity category out there, I'm going to put Denzel Kondichi there. His brother's had a great season and has been playing like we want him to play. I think Denzel, he's second on the depth chart right now. I don't know if he's actually starting this weekend, but I think he's got an opportunity to show us, the really the All-American that he is, and that he's got an opportunity to come out and he's to be one of the leaders of this team and to make some big plays this weekend and kind of reestablish that he was the first Kondichi, in Vaught Hemingway, and he was here first, and this is his big game. So I think this is a big opportunity for him to show Oxford what he's still got in the tank.
Yeah, and for Alabama, a guy who either hasn't played really up to snuff or could end up being a weakness, I would say on the other side is definitely a big opportunity for him is who I mentioned as one of my key players, and that's Cyrus Jones. Last year, he just was not very good. He's a kid from Baltimore who I'm sure you are very well aware of, Herbie.
I played him in 8th grade.
Yeah, see, exactly. And he's a phenomenally talented athlete. He's fast. He can run with anyone. He's not overly sized, only about 5'11", 5'10", but he made the transition to corner last year, and the first person he had to guard was Mike Evans, who just ran all over him. So you already have a bad taste left in your mouth about him. He made one of the big mistakes in that Auburn game last year and allowed Auburn to tie the game back up in the last couple of minutes. And then in the Sugar Bowl, he wasn't much better against the Oklahoma offense. He really did not show up in big moments. But so far this year, he really has played lockdown corner, and not a lot of people are noticing or giving him a lot of credit just because there's so much, I guess, angst and frustration with this Alabama secondary and some of the big plays they let up. But right now, him and Landon Collins being the juniors and the leaders of the secondary have to step up this weekend, and I think it's a great chance for him to do it against an elite wide receiver like Laquan Treadwell. And as far as really a weakness for Alabama goes, he hasn't played like he's a weakness, but being the true freshman, Cam Robinson, Alabama's stud left tackle, is a 6'6", 320-pound freshman. He might already be better than Cyrus Kouandjio. But Ole Miss is going to come after him. He's a freshman, and that's something that we are definitely going to have to watch out for on the Crimson Tide side of things.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a great matchup, but that's all for this segment. Watch out for our final segment as we make our final predictions on who we think is going to win this top 10 SEC matchup. For the Roll Tide Draft Blog, I'm Baker Leyman, here with Herbie May, as always.